Erin Brockivage. My apologies in advance if Brockivage is not spelled right. Chances are it's not spelled right. But many of you might remember, it was based on a true story. Julia Roberts played the leading lady in the movie based on real life events, Erin Brockovich. Erin Brockovich was somebody that was a single mama of 3 kids. I think she was broke. She lived in a trailer. Blah, blah, blah. She didn't have all that much education. Uh, she worked odd jobs, shit like that. Okay. That's not the real moral of the story. She ends up working for a lawyer that has something to do with some kind of case of a lot of sickness in a particular area that they lived in. And it was a class action suit that was dismissed, laughed at, because people had fancy schmancy lawyers and lawyer talk and loopholes and all those things. These people ended up with unjust sickness, but not only did they end up with unjust sickness, to get the care that they needed, they didn't have the resources and the means to help and heal themselves. Okay, not only were they victims of some kind of power plant, basically their poverty being exploited, which ended up affecting their health. But then it was this energy of they should just be focusing on healing. They should just focus on, just being happy to get the medical, or to find a doctor and to focus all the energies on healing and not on trying to pursue a legal case against the folks who was behind it and did not even want to do anything really to remedy it. The reason why I'm bringing Erin Brockovich up, and I'm bringing up how, it was the big wigs that really didn't want to take accountability and responsibility for creating this illness, but then expecting these people just to go away and just figure out how to just heal and get better and be better. Okay. They didn't have, they ended up getting serious illnesses that cost serious money to even manage and care for, and some stuff was irrevocable. Some stuff had lasting lifetime effects that no amount of money was going to remedy, but the money would have helped to manage the rest of the time that they had left to have a better life for the rest of the time that they had left. Okay. And in the collective's case, my case and many others, often you have people that's doing the bidding of these abusers that would tell you, if you're sick, you can't afford to be focusing on, who's responsible for it. You just have to be focusing on making yourself better, because who has time for trying to figure all of that out? If that had happened in the history of whatever true events that took place with Erin Brockovich, then those people wouldn't have gotten the justice. They wouldn't have gotten the care that they needed. Okay. But not only that, that power plant and all of those things that created the issue to begin with would have continued on, and many, many, many others would have ended up getting sicknesses and death and things like that unjustly as well. So if those folks hadn't decided, even though it was uncomfortable, it put them under pressure, it took time and energy to be able to testify and show up and tell the story and over again, while dealing with health niggles and issues that have been occurred due to what had happened, served in the long haul. Erin Brockivage represented somebody who cared and realized that sometimes you gotta make an issue of things if you want, justice for those who need justice. Sometimes it's not about being quiet and saying, well, let me just go make myself better. No, sometimes you're not going to get better until you get to what's behind the reason why you're sick to begin with. Until some of us, like I said, our health, could be detrimentally affected. And then when you have ongoing abuse, like these people were subject to these power plants and so forth, when you have the ongoing abuse on top of what was already created, oh, you should just put your energy on getting better. So you'll be in a perpetual state of getting better, because when these people aren't ever stopping doing what they've been doing, they're not ever stopping stalking. They're doing spell work as I speak. There are people doing spells as I speak. They're circling buildings and properties, chanting things, sprinkling things, hiding in rooms, poking on things. Those who have access, exploiting certain things, they're poisoning, putting poisonous substances and cursed items and locations and all sorts of weird shit. Tampering with people's personal belongings. Making sure that no one in the town wants to hire them, making sure. So to sit up there that's insulting. That's, once again, that's that abuse culture that you're supposed to be okay with, and you're in a perpetual state of recovery because nobody wants to address and speak out loud or deal with the fact that people are abusing you, or that was a serious injustice that created lifetime effects on you and your children. That's going to take the rest of the life of therapy, alchemy, God knows what. As every day they persist. And who are they? All the people that ends up getting involved. See, this is not, it's not a cutesy cute, I'm sorry, when you band together and get whole cities, countries, neighborhoods, families, individuals riled up on lies and trumped up events and all sorts of stuff to do baneful shit. And then when one person decides they don't want to do it no more, and all the others become obsessed with the money and obsessed with, the fact that they don't like somebody. This is why that stuff should never be entered into lightly in the first fucking place. Playing with lives should not be something that no one out here enters into lightly for no amount of money and no amount of opportunities and no amount of prejudices. Lasting effects that if tables are turned, these people wouldn't be able to stomach. It's insulting, and it's once again putting a weight of responsibility on the abusee instead of the abusers. Just get over it, let it go, and focus on healing. That's like somebody putting the coronavirus in your room every day after you get healed, and nobody wants to deal with the fact that a sorry motherfucker keeps coming in there and putting coronavirus in your environment. Because it's not a matter of that person focusing on their healing. It's a matter of the fact that they're being exploited, that they're being compromised. If you're trying to focus on your mental and emotional health, and you have people that are hell-bent on using MK Ultra, MK Naomi, V2K military style psychological warfare tactics, people sitting in weird caves poking on dolls. Wake up, America. Open your eye. Open your eye. This abuse culture, this comfort that we're willing to sacrifice others, because that's something that some of us gonna look in the mirror, maybe possibly the day before we die. The day before we are expired. For some of us, it's gonna be the very day before we are expired, where it's gonna all come flash and flooding in. That we ourselves conducted inhuman sacrifice. Because in the name of trying to save our own ass, in the name of trying to save our name and image, in the name of wanting our comforts and not wanting to deal with uncomfortable messiness of truth and justice, in the name of keeping that 501c government grant, in the name of not wanting to piss off Jezebel, in the name of all these things, we decided to sacrifice innocent life, because at the end of the day, if we have the courage to admit it, we'd rather it be them than us. And a lot of people are sick and tortured and tormented right now because they can't reconcile their conscious, their cognitive dissonance and all this stuff. You know, they ran to church, they ran to religion, they ran to spirituality, they went to every confirmation bias they could, muster up to try to soothe the fact that the bottom line was they rather it be, no matter if the folks were innocent or not, the bottom line was they'd rather the torture, the abuse, the misfortune, the attacks, the hoodoo, the voodoo, the root work, the incast, the poison, all the traps, the entrapment, that they rather they didn't want to lose a partner. They didn't want to lose an investor. They didn't, So they just thought that they were good on team, just get the abusee to be quiet. We threatened their life, we tortured them and their children, but get the abusee to be quiet. Get them to just shut up and take it. Because that's essentially everything that's been happening to me. Threats. From threats to gaslighting and everything in between. While me and my son continue every freaking day to be violated. They're wanting us to get these agoraphobia. This is what the abuse is about. This is what we're going to circle you around. We're going to send weirdos. We're going to do all, because they're wanting us to develop these phobias due to the psychological warfare. And so that they can keep us in isolation. And these are all punitive damages. If you and your children end up developing phobias and all sorts of weird things, that's all punitive damages. That's all affecting the quality of the life that you have, the quality of life that they have, your children. So, world, stop telling folks just to get over it and heal. We didn't tell slaves just to stop bitching and moaning and heal. The slavery issue had to be dealt with. Some of us has been conditioned to behaving like that. Let me do this real quick. That's what I thought. See, these are the things that we deal with daily that the world is not ready to accept that we're dealing with. So to tell folks like myself, to just ignore them. Ignore a whole mob of people like there's some fucking mafia. Driving around in their Teslas and shit. Everybody want a Tesla. All of a sudden, this shit ain't even cool no more. It ain't even the bomb. This shit played out. This shit ain't even the bomb no more. I mean, it's a nice car. I'm just saying, like, it's just too damn common now. You know, it's too common. Everybody can get one. Everybody. So now it's you don't have the same je ne sais quoi. I'm just kidding. I'm just being silly. I'm just saying, the world, stop telling folks that. They got whole mafias and whole motherfuckers falling around the world. Just ignore them. Oh, so ignore that I got some creepy creepersons from Creepinsvilles. Being creepy all over. Don't know me, but being creepy. Ignore that. We wouldn't tell famous people that. See, that's what I'm saying. And listen, they wouldn't. I'll guarantee you, they would not tell them. And you know why? Because this is going to be the rationale. Where they're famous, and they need you need to up their security because right. You need to up their security, huh? Because they got a bunch of what? Because they got a bunch of what? Huh? Why you need to up their security? Why they need all their security? Why? Because of what? They got a lot of weirdos, huh? Tell the truth, shame the devil. They have a lot of weirdos obsessed with them. Is that not the reason? Huh? Is that part of the reason? They got a lot of weirdos obsessed with them. Obsessed fans, loony bin fans, you name it. Folks that have been targeted deal with the same thing. We just don't got the money. So who needed the most? They got the money to go pay for some 275-pound, you know what I'm saying? Wooty wooty woo. And they have the inside track with the Illuminati. So, they already got the goods, baby. They already got the goods, baby. Even if they themselves aren't the ones who are conducting ceremony, they already have the inside track. So they covered, basically, is what I'm trying to say. From that side, the people who want to get a bright idea, bitch, and want to be doing some voodoo and some shit on their ass, you know what I'm saying? That would be dumb. Because they're covered. Dudes, come on, man. Listen, they're covered, yo. They in with that old evil. They in with that old, how they talk about like old money, old evil. So they're covered with the knowledge that's hidden from regular Joe and Josephine Schmoes like you and I. Stop. They wouldn't say it for famous people, but they say it for folks who don't have the money that the famous people have to protect themselves. Ain't that some backwards booty butt dumbass shit? They tell the regular Joe Schmo who nobody believes and who don't have the same resources, just get over it. Just focus on your healing. And remember, Job, if one more person tell me that story, their eyebrows is not going to be on their face. Somebody's like, damn, bitch, what she said? I ain't going to touch her. So just chill out. I ain't going to touch her. But my mind, once again, convincing somebody, oh, well, I'm just going to suffer a little longer. Your life becomes some kind of suffrage program for somebody that can get some some high fives and some way to goes and some fucking nigga. While the abusee's sitting up there on a jet. You know what I'm saying, nigga? While the abuser's sitting their whole ass up on a jet. And you somewhere, I'm just going to suffer a little. No, I am not. I am Erin Brockivage. Shit. Folks, lives get altered in ways that's irrevocable. And to sit up there and make excuses for abusers is sickening to the core. The conditioning we have had. I come from a family that, listen to me, I come from a background. Oh, y'all ain't ready. You're not ready. People be saying they want the truth. They can't fucking handle the truth. They can't handle the truth. They don't want the truth. The truth is ugly as hell. It's ugly. It's bloody. It's messy. It's ever woven, and it's continuing because of the pus and the infections that these families don't want to fucking deal with. They want to stamp a hallelujah, glory, glory. While simultaneously covering for these abusers and his families, while the abuse still continues. And the part of the reason why the abuse continues is because too many people are fucking cowards. There are too many yes men, yes women in these families, and there are too many cowards, and there are too many motherfuckers that at the end of the day, collective, they'd rather it be you than them. And that's why they just shutting the fuck up, and they're trying to convince you to just keep on taking a little longer so we ain't got to worry about our asses being lit on fire. That's what this is. I've talked to folks over the last 6 months to a year where I discerned and was able to tell just like that different things they said, and they wouldn't know it because I make it stay that way. But I can hear it in some of their voices, especially my stepfather. Because I talked to him like 3 times in the last year. It was things he said, and it was how he said certain things. Guilt, man. But at the end of the day, rather it be than to deal with the Jezebels of the family. People got quite comfortable with me and my son being the ones taking the brunt of it. Well, you know how your mother is. Well, you know how your sister is. Well, you know, and with each call, do you know that he said, I love you, I love you, I love you, love her, I love, do y'all know that? You know why I want to talk like this? Because again, a lot of us come from family structures where this bullshit, it's bullshit. Why, he made statements of I would need to talk to my older sister about something to do with my father's passing away, or some things that belong to me. There are things that belong to me. Going to a narc or a liar to ask them the truth about, and why should you have to? See, here's where I'm going with it. You shouldn't fucking have to. If they know what they have and what they did, they should be the ones calling you, number one. And the fact that they don't, and you go to the family that's supposed to be non-corrupt and neutral and all that shit, that's because they be under that control of that narcissistic regime. The truth of the matter is they be scared. Or way, just like I said, a lot of these people get turned into nunches. I figured that out maybe a few years back as I started just reflecting on stuff. I was like, oh, they get turned into nunches. Like after being so long under the spell too long. Like that's what happens. It just get more and more fermented. And then they lose more and more of themselves. And they just become like, and if you look, listen to me, if you look at somebody, y'all think I'm lying. Oh, man, I'm telling you. And I'm not talking about how we all have bad days and you're tired and no, I'm saying like if you look, you almost can see like whatever domination or like the vibrancy or their own agency and autonomy. It's like, are you in there? Hello? It's almost like they become scripted. A mouthpiece for them things. I'm just saying. And they don't know it. That's the weird shit, man. They themselves don't even know it. And in his case, just being frank, it's not that he maybe was altogether good in and of himself anyway. You see what I'm saying? They met at a very, very, very young, well, he was young, very young. And she wasn't too old either. I mean, because this is a trillion years ago. Okay. I think he was like 19, He was like a kid. If I'm not mistaken, he was like 19 or 20. I could be wrong, but shit. She put a spell on his ass. It's done. I mean, I don't want to get too far off into that because it's like, that's not really what I'm here for. What I'm really talking about is how there are organizations and family structures that are built in the same way that I'm talking about. Just like in Erin Brockivage, they wanted those sick people that it was their fault that their asses was sick. They wanted these sick people to shut up and go away and be quiet and figure it out on their fucking own. And they didn't want to change. They wanted that poisonous shit to keep on keeping on with the keeping on and fuck up more lives. That would have been an injustice to those people, and they wouldn't have gotten the money that they got for some of them so that they can get proper medical care. And not some trash ass, well, and not only that, punitive damn damages. Their life was permanently altered at the hands of these motherfuckers. Unjustifiably. Them and their little babies, their little children. That is correct. And if somebody didn't have a big mouth like Erin Brockivage, them motherfuckers would not have got nothing done. Because they was trying to negotiate. Listen, if you watch the movie, they tried the niceties. They try to lawyer the lawyers. You know what I'm saying? Y'all they get together and we'll be fencing to have these here for this here Shams and our meeting, bitch. We fencing what you finna do is try to weasel your ass the fuck about of coming off that damn month. So they didn't like Erin. They tried to shut her up. They was like, excuse me, are you a lawyer? She made them people feel like they hate their chosen profession. And she finished with their ass. They tried to intimidate her because she was trailer trash. And there's, who is this trailer trash? You know, and with my Mercedes, and who is this uneducated trailer? Yes, we are professionals. Yeah, you're a lawyer, and I'm a lawyer of BS. My specialty is sniffing out motherfuckers. Now, cough up the damn dough. You cheat. Woo! See, she kept her composure. She tried all of that. And so it's all that is fitting. But sometimes that nicety stuff, people just don't want to deal. That's the bottom line, man. They don't want to deal with it. It's embarrassing. It makes them sociopathic. Here it goes. It makes them look bad. We don't want to lose our comforts. I want 2 jets instead of 1. And if I'm accountable for this, then I'm not going to be able to have 2 jets, even though this shit is my fault. I don't want the world to know, that I was negligent, that I was inhumane, and that I was willing. And so convince the Uzi just to take it. Can you convince them that they're crazy? Can you convince them that they're doing too much? Can you convince them that they're just being drama? Can you convince them that they just need to focus on their healing and not worry about these mobsters following them around everywhere? Can you convince them that, they have the victory and maybe they're being honored by God in the name of the Job story? Can you convince them that maybe can you convince them that, this is just one of those things that, misfortune happens to everyone. People fall ill. People get terminal illness. Could you even possibly convince them that maybe it was just due to a compromised immune system? Better still, could you convince them that this is something that is a fault of theirs, and so maybe if we can make them feel like this is a fault of theirs, and then that could be the angle that we can use to get them to back off holding our whole asses accountable. So go ahead and add insult to injury. Tell them they're disobedient. They're being punished for being an individual while we can't be punished for being whores and murderers. Pedophiles. Attacking disabled people in their sleep, and then going to church and put on all white on the first and third Sunday. Tell them this is because they're in trouble, but we ain't had trouble since ever we've been doing our bullshit. In fact,
We eating good, sleeping good, living good, driving good as we kill people, bitch. As we MK Ultra the fuck out of the vulnerable population and then say they crazy and then look pitiful in the face. Oh, we want to help you as we push the button. MK, what are you talking about? That's a conspiracy theory. They in the car pushing the button. Saying phrases that they know subconsciously would trigger the person because of that sophisticated knowledge that they have. Crackhead number 1, go over there. Q. Crackhead number 2, go over there and say shuka shuka boo boo. Q. Crackhead number 4, go over there and blow some cigarettes. Q. Crackhead number 5. Say, do some Santeria. In another dialect. We forgot to tell you they do understand other languages that came later. Crackhead number 6. Go do a weird circle around them on your little tricycle. And then sit there and be weird, like a perv. Crackhead number 7. Laugh with derision, because we can use your arrogance and your false sense of grandiose. Crackhead number 8. Drive around 4 times around the neighborhood and rev up your motorcycle. Crackhead number 9. You and your kids go outside and we'll V2K your kid to start acting out because it's a trigger to target number 2. Crackhead number 10. And when you put all of that aside, I see that. When you put all of that aside, for those of you out there that's just, it's so hard for you to swallow because your cognitive dissonance, your lack of expansion and experience and limited perspective and all of that doesn't allow, it's okay. Even if you were to simplify it to some very minimum basics, to tell abusees to just get over things, especially when they're continuing to be abused, is ignorance and it's insult to injury to someone who is undergoing it. I use extreme examples in the physical because humans seem to be able to connect better. To tell somebody who had gotten the coronavirus and who undergone all the necessary things to heal themselves, even maintenance, the fact to make sure, but unbeknownst to them, let's say there was a coronavirus vigilante that was following them around that had, a thirst for blood and was hell-bent, a death wish, and it was hell-bent on making everyone suffer for something that they feel like they can't get out, or whatever's loose scruples in the vigilante. So every time that person healed, when they walk, when they did all the precautions, somebody go into their environment and feel it, their private dwelling space, under the guise of maintenance, under the guise of routine visits, cable, whatever it is, that the world seeing it doesn't look like there's any suspicious behavior whatsoever. It checks out to be standard routine things. But unbeknownst to everybody, that person's got a few loose scruples. They're a part of a cult. And they've been told and spellcasted and commanded to go and put the spores every day. Then that person walks out to go take out the trash, go to a doctor's appointment, go for a jog. And that person seemed to keep getting it and not know why. And they start to find out, get information that people have been entering the premises. They start getting pictures of folks doing weird things and weird things showing up in their environment that they know was not there. And then it all comes to flooding. To tell this person, just, should they heal? Sure they should. But that's not going to be the answer for them until they deal with the host. Putting people on a hamster wheel of perpetual healing as if it's their fault is another thing that is sick and grotesque. People don't need healing because they're dealing with abusers. Abusers need to be fucking dealt with. People need to heal, but we need to deal. Slavery had to be dealt with. It wasn't just get over slavery. It needed to be dealt with, and it still does. It still does. Because now, many of us just took on the job of our oppressor. Fake asses. Lost respect for a whole lot of motherfuckers over the last couple of years. A whole lot of motherfuckers. Because it's like, wow, you talk all that shit on TV and shit. All that God shit, all that spiritual shit, all that Musa, woody woo, wada wah, Jesus, Bible, holy God, scripture. I should have killed her. Huh. You're a fucking murderer of the innocent. And then people, social media lit on fleek, burnt, toast, whatever, you know. I heard somebody say that on the show. I was laughing. I said, "Is it burnt? It's not burnt." It's like it's lit. Oh, it's not burnt. No. I was like, oh, they messed up the saying. But in this case, oh, it's fitting. Because they go on there and, you know, talking about, you got this, I believe in you, and you believe in killing as well. You need to put that in your statement to the people. I believe in you, and I also believe in human sacrifice. That's what I did so that I can be this world-renowned motherfucker that you know today. You've got this, and you do, and I got rid of some people who could have had this as well, but you got this. I believe in you. Bowing and doing the signals and shit. Ask them to tell you the story. Ask some of these people to tell you. See, for those of y'all who have access, I'm talking to the people out there that might have access. personal access, okay? Because the rest of us, Joe Schmoes, Joe Schmoes, okay, no. But those of you out there, you might have some fun. Ask them a story. Ask them to tell you. When they hit big, ask them what happened before it. Who died? Ask them about some death, and just see what kind of expressions and face, you know, just feel. Don't trip. Stay flat. Don't react. Just watch them. Ask some of these family members that have barbacoa, family, and everything. Ask some of them about them Eastern stars. And the Masons. Ask them about. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just to see. See what kind of reaction, to see what kind of facial expression, to see what lie. The differently able community, the system has sorely and grotesquely failed. Epic failure, a big fat F. Compliments of the universe. I understand what this is. Somebody's going to say, "Did you know what this is?" I do. I actually know what the nature of this is. Neither here nor there. For the ones who are legit, I'm not talking about the trash. I'm not talking about the trash. I'm not talking about who's already trash and they know they trash. I'm not talking about them, because they are what they are. And they know it. I'm talking about the few far and in between. The few sincere, because there are beautiful beings even here. I'm talking about them. Okay, you all have told. Epic. They're vulnerable and easily targeted by lowlives for various reasons, ranging from weirdo occult ritual, these practices that we have known since forever that we pretend that we don't, to tax write-offs, credits, and access to their disability, their benefits. With my son, they tried to orphan him. They still are trying to orphan him, so they can just have their way with him in full effect without his pesky mother. I know I veered off, but it all makes sense. The gist of what I'm simply saying is, when we look in history and we look at change, and it's, you don't tell folks to just get over stuff. What is it going to take is justice. People ask the question, that's why I said they don't want the truth. They can't handle the truth. The truth is inconvenient. The truth is uncomfortable. What they want somebody is to say is, they don't really want to know what it's going to take, because what it's going to take is fucking justice. That's the end. There's no back door. When people are in real time being abused. What is it going to take? Justice. Period. Period, 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 period. Justice. They look for serial killers. All we got to just look at life and stop playing. You don't just say, oh, just get over it. They got killed. No, find that nigga, find that bitch, and finish him. Huh? You encourage these families to try to, hold on to semblance, the survivors and all that stuff. Punitive damages, some stuff is just irrevocable. And the longer people pussyfoot, the longer people who are in power make excuses and lean into comfort rather than justice, the more people are being abused. The more folks like my son, the more folks like myself, the more, different people are targeted by the humdrum followers. The longer people please. I don't want to create no problems. We need to create problems. I don't want to create no problems. Problem is already created. It's a problem. Yeah, it ain't a problem for you, because it ain't you and your churn being satanically abused by church folks. And practitioners across the waters. That's got weird, corrupt motherfuckers coming in, tearing up shit, putting holes in shit. Just doing all kinds of weird psychological shit. And then you tell these people, get over it. Nigga, please. If you came into your house, nigga, please. Negro, please. At some point, ain't gonna be no, I'm gonna just not pay attention to it. It's gonna be, what the fuck is going on? And let me get to the bottom of this, because I come home and I ain't got nobody that should be here tearing up shit. So what the fuck is this? I don't see nothing on my camera. What the hell is going on? Am I losing my mind? We want nothing more. Folks like myself and my son want nothing more than to just be able to live and be. But that doesn't happen until we deal with the injustices, though. As long as we let abusers be abusers and we hold them on pedestals and we're protecting them, and we're scared of them and we're doing, as long as that's happening, so world, if you're too cowardly to do anything about stuff, then you should equally be too cowardly to say anything at all. Because people who are undergoing what they're undergoing, living what they live in, they have 100% full sovereign right to be an Erin Brockivage. Because basically, it's been an ongoing assault against their life. So they get to be a bitch. They get to be all of that. because it's their children being satanically abused. That's having the life force sucked out of them for trash that shouldn't even be here. For a bunch of gluttonous consumers. So they can be a bitch, and they can bitch and moan, and they can talk trash. People should be happy if they still got their head on their shoulder, because it could be worse. It can be worse. Bodies could be starting to drop. We in the collective, like myself, want nothing more than to restore our lives. But that includes restoring our lives, which includes dealing with what's creating a problem for that. Who, what, where, and how. By any means necessary. Because the way they try to get us to live or exist in survival, that's not living. That's to supply energy and loose to the trash bag, parasitic, predatory motherfuckers. My role is to continue to work on my healing, as everybody loves to say, continue healing. Of course I am. Of course I am. But at the end of the day, I'll have to address everything that continues to try to stop it. Spiritual bypassing, it's not going to make that go away. Somebody's going to say, well, you've learned about energy and frequency, you work on that. Absolutely. The point that I'm making is there are energy and powers that are trying to stop just that. That's my damn point. In order to properly do that, one must have certain conditions in order to be able to consistently move forward in such direction. No. So when you have a bunch of tantruming 1,000-year-old 3-year-olds with money and fancy cars, when you have people's lives being tampered with, MK Ultra and manufactured and manipulated and all sorts of stuff in the background to make their living conditions inconducive to such. Healing ain't about a quote. It ain't about an altar call. It ain't about a Bible scripture. It ain't even just about a meditation. It's about energy. It's about vibration. It's about frequency. And it's about conscious expansion. But there are conditions that makes that possible. And there are conditions that make it almost virtually impossible. I have every intention on dealing with what's trying to stop it. because I can go from town to town and city to city and state to state, and these trash bags persist. And they infiltrate wherever we land. Walking that fine line between not feeding the parasites and not bypassing. There's this very thin fine line that we don't get to do it perfectly. Because there's some stuff that if I don't say anything, if I don't make an issue of it, humans are lazy. Humans are creatures of habit and comfort. They don't want to be bothered. Go away. It's a fine line, and I have not perfected that. But I don't think any of us really do. I'm working on it. I'm working on trying to, where my energy goes, where my attention goes, the energy flows, and understanding that I'm working on that. But that's a part of why they try to discombobulate us and ambush us with so much, because that creates a greater challenge to do that. When you listen, those of us who have had children under normal circumstances without all the crazy shit that I'm talking about, you and I both know that in order for you to get to, you had to get to your own energy and just be, get your capacities, what I'm saying, together. You need space, don't you? And when they try to manufacture that you don't have any space because they hired every dirtbag in every town that you land, because they made sure to come up with some cockamamie ass, trumped up ass rules, regulations, ordinances, and policies. To where you gotta have the umbilical cord wrapped around your rib cage or your hip bone, so that you don't even get to be in your own energy. And what does that do? That keeps you what? What does it keep you? You have to get creative. And that is something that I am doing. You have to get creative. But like I said, when they cue people just to be in your energy, when you're trying to just be with yourself, they see you walk around the corner and do stuff. That's because you want motherfuckers to stay the fuck for 5 goddamn minutes. Stay the fuck out your energy and get their nose the fuck up out your business for 5 minutes. And that's normal behavior, because no one wants to be surveilled and encompassed nonstop with other motherfuckers' energy. It ain't about always, well, what's the problem? The problem is your nosy ass. So that you won't have to be, I'm teaching something. Somebody gonna hear this someday. So that you don't have to be in fucking hypervigilance all the time. That's survival mode, which on the long haul, it clouds judgment. Because we were not designed to be in a perpetual non-stop state of that. So it's proving the point that these motherfuckers are all killers. They're all killers, baby. They're all killers. Because they're all trying to perpetuate stress and anxiety in the target. They're all trying to create a cloud of judgment so that they can keep their thieving lifestyle hidden. Murderers with Bibles. I just saw 11111 on the timer. Murderers with Bibles, murderers with sage bundles, murderers with crucifixes around their necks, murderers. And they're Gucci and Versace. Murderers. Because I'm not the only one, and neither is my son. These people have a list of people that they terrorize every day. And they're disgusting. Get a fucking reputable damn job.